welcome on into the New Year's Eve of the Sports Podcast. Today, I'm going to be picking my college football week 6 picks. As far as this week goes, college football, NFL-wise, it's kind of what I call a dry week, where there's not too many games as far as like terrible significance and or in the NFL, where it just seems like a lot of even matchups. That's kind of what it feels like pretty much the entire weekend this weekend sports-wise. But then you also got the baseball playoffs kicking off, so I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. But as far as college football is concerned, there's just a lot of matchups that I think are, mostly lopsided. That's why you won't see a lot of top team matchups on my picks list. I actually only have 20 games, not 23 like I've had the last couple weeks, just because, like I said, it's a dry week. A lot of matchups are matchups that are unbalanced or say the same as far as record-wise and where teams are, that it's not that interesting as far as picking it. Of course, I'll be watching, keeping an eye, and intently viewing all these games as I do every weekend. But as far as the picks go, I'm still picking every NFL game. We'll probably start doing those on Sundays instead of on the weekdays, so we'll do it right before the schedule starts as far as the NFL games. And I'll stick to doing college here on the weekdays. As far as the October 12th weekend and the October 19th weekend, I'll probably have my pops back to help me pick those games, because those are the two next big weekends. And probably those two weekends are probably more important than any of these 6 weekends, including this week combined, as far as improvements and as far as matchups, as far as hostile environments. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. So I'm not going to dive really much into these picks other than to tell you who I have winning. And like I said, I'm just going to kind of go down the list. If I don't have the games on my list that other people might think should be on it, it's probably because who I think is going to win it, and there's no need to talk about it. But like I said, with a week like this, college game day going to Cal, Miami and Cal, that's kind of where I'll start. I have Miami winning, and I kind of have them winning in a margin. This game can get ugly. I think that, for me, Miami has been one of the better teams in college football. They had a really great game, unsurprisingly, against Virginia Tech. But, again, this is what's happened to Miami before. The only difference is they haven't been able to win these types of games, and they were able to win it last Friday. So for me, this is a test in the sense that it's a road game. But I think this game is close early, but I think Miami eventually starts to slip away, much like the USF game, where they were on the road, even though they're in the same state, and they kind of just bulldozed in the second half. I think that's kind of what's going to happen here. It'll be a 7 to 10 point game. Cam Ward and company put their foot down second half. Mario Cristobal keeps those guys right. So I don't think it's going to be close at all. It'll be entertaining for a while, but I don't think Cal's going to be able to put up enough points to score with Miami. You do not want to get into a score that's with Miami and leave it up to the last 30 seconds and you have the ball and you have to go score like what happened with Virginia Tech. You don't want to have that happen with this new look Miami offense, all the weapons and all the pieces they have, and Cam Ward being one of the top guys in that Heisman race, along with Ashley Jenny of Boise and Travis Hunter of Colorado. It's a 3-man race right now, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think anybody has really solidified themselves as number one to me, because they've all just been great, consistent, and made some big plays to help their team win good games all season. So, and this week won't really do anything. Colorado's got a bye week. Miami obviously on the road in Cal. And Boise State's got Utah State, which they should take care of business at home. So nothing exciting, but like I said, the next 2 weeks, we'll get a better indication and maybe get some separation as we get into thick of things as far as October goes and getting closer to those college football playoff rankings. Let's go to Friday Night Football. Syracuse number 25, UNLV. I have UNLV winning that game. Like I said, not going to spend too much time on a lot of these games just because it's a warming week for me, and I'm trying to save all my energy and all my analysis for the next couple of weeks. So most of these games will be tune-up games, and you're not sure which way it blows on that, but I think UNLV continues their momentum, and I'll just say this. If they somehow find a way to make the playoff, what Luka was able to do, man, it's going to make everything UNLV allegedly did or didn't do 10 times better. It's going to have people rethinking whether they should be putting on their team in the middle of the season, especially if we're going to have in the season if they're having Super Bowl. So I think they beat Syracuse at home. I think TCU beats Houston at home. And I think number 6 Oregon takes care of business against Michigan State at home as well. So 3 Friday games. Quite frankly, all 3 of those I can see being downs. But again, Michigan State, they can hang around for a little bit. And I think the Syracuse game will probably be the game of the night. I think those 2 teams will win. I wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse State will win, but UNLV is on a hot streak right now, and their defense is playing better than expected. Moving on to the Saturday games, Rutgers at Nebraska. I'll take Rutgers on the road. I think what Greg Schiano's been able to continue to do with this program is fascinating. It's the best time they've had over a decade. I think they continue that. Nothing against Nebraska. Dylan Raiola is great. But they just have too many laps for me. And as soon as they played a team that was worth something in Illinois, even at home, they struggle. Rutgers, I think, is a legit team. I think they struggle against that defense, and Rutgers pulls out a win on the road. James Madison at UL Monroe. This will probably be, I won't say the last time, but this is definitely the first time I've mentioned either of these 2 teams. Other than when James Madison played North Carolina last week, and they put up a 70-piece. Both these 2 teams were odd to me because they played Power 4 teams and did the opposite of what they did against all the other teams on their schedule so far. So I'm not sure what to make of it. 3-1 start for the first time in forever for UL Monroe. The new head coach, he's got them running well with Jim Moody as the quarterback. But I'll take James Madison on the road. They put up 70 on the road in North Carolina. They won't be afraid to come into Monroe, a pretty desolate crowd, and take care of business. So give me JMU picking against my own Louisiana schools. But, like I said, I'd like my record to go kind of back to that 16-4 where I was before, and further double down and distance myself from those losses that I've had. Duke and Georgia Tech. I actually have Georgia Tech again. Love Duke. People who know me know that. But I just think Georgia Tech gets some slipping. I don't think, like I said, no team's going undefeated, so you got to get caught slipping somewhere. I will say the game against North Carolina really proved something to me, the way they were able to fight back. It looked like they were just struggling offensively for a very long time, and their defense really held it down the entire game. I think Georgia Tech will kind of force them to turn the ball over a little bit at home, and Georgia Tech gets a really close victory against Duke. Number 9, Missouri at number 25, A&M. I thought game day probably could have went to this game. They decided to go to Cal instead, which is fine. But give me Texas A&M at home. I just think after when Notre Dame came in there, really good football team, they came close. Missouri, they haven't been on the road yet. All the games they played at home, the last 2, include Boston College and Vanderbilt, have been tight-knit games they easily could have lost. I think they get exposed here, much like Ole Miss got exposed last week. And what they do with it after that is what they do with it. But they do have to go to Alabama as well. So I think this is a slippery slide for them. I just don't trust them. And like I said, the last 2 games against good teams, they've struggled. But again, you're at home, you should be able to take care of business a little smoother than that. And now you got to go to Cal Field, which is one of the most hostile environments in college football. No way. Close game, A&M wins, and A&M really sneakily moves up the ladder. They can backdoor their way into this playoff scenario, especially if they're able to win this football game. So I'm excited to see what happens there with the A&M. SMU at 22 Louisville. I got Louisville bouncing back after a hard-fought loss to Notre Dame. I thought they showed a lot that they can play with those guys. SMU ran over Florida State. Florida State's not any good. They go on the road in their first road ACC game and find out what it's like to be in the Power Four again. So give me Louisville, give me Jeff Brom, give me Tyler Shuck in that offense. Colin Lacey coming back in the second game, transfer from Southern Alabama. Give me these guys to take care of business at home. And again, they're not out of that ACC race as far as getting to the championship game. So they ran it last year. Their offense looks a lot crisper this year. So watch out for Louisville. But I got them taking that victory. Pitt, North Carolina, I'll take Pitt this game. North Carolina's not very good. Jack Brown's going to be in trouble here in a couple of years. And they'll get it together. And I understand Max Johnson went down, but me, North Carolina's not a good football team. They had a lead of 20 points against Duke. They squandered that. They let James Madison come in their house and put 70 on them. So I think they're in disarray right now. And I think Pitt being undefeated, nobody's really talking about it. They had a bye week, so they've kind of been under the radar. They've had two wild wins the first half of that season, so it's good for them to get a break. I think they come in fresh, positive, and they get the job done on the road, and they beat North Carolina. Auburn at number 5, Georgia. Georgia wins easily. Auburn, they're just not that good this year. They got some young guys coming back next year that I think will have them ready to go. But I just don't think this year is the year for them to be on the radar. Next year, definitely, they're going to have some really good talent on that football team to make a run. But give me Georgia to race the victory what happened last week. Number 12, Ole Miss in South Carolina. I'll take Ole Miss to rebound. I don't think it's a situation where they lost at home to a Kentucky team that's kind of Jekyll and Hyde situation. But at the end of the day, I do believe Ole Miss is a good football team, and they still will have a chance to fight for a spot. But again, you play this road game. LSU's coming off a bye this week, so they'll be fresh and ready to go and have a plan for that home night game against Ole Miss. So you got 2 road games in a row for Ole Miss. And it only gets harder from here. They got Georgia. They got a couple other teams that they have to face. So the gauntlet really starts for Ole Miss. And I think one thing Kentucky did prove is that once you start playing teams with pulse, it's a little bit different. Ohio State will find that out coming up. Speaking of Ohio State, they've got Iowa at home. Obviously, Ohio State's going to win this game. I think Iowa makes it comfortable for a long time. Because, again, Ohio State's got Oregon, primetime game, in one of the bigger weekends in college football history next week. So I don't think it's that they're looking ahead. I just think that Iowa plays such ugly football that they prop them up a little bit, and they slow them down just enough to where they can put some points on the board and have people thinking that they have a chance. But Ohio State's going to win comfortably. I just think for about 3 quarters, this game looks uglier than you might think. Just because of that defense and what Iowa can do on the ground. And like I said, this is the first team they played with an actual pulse. Michigan State was a good test on the road, but they're not really good yet. So this is the first team they're playing with an actual pulse. They've passed the test, of course, but the biggest test of the season, obviously, is next week at Oregon. So Brian Day will have his boys ready to play and not looking ahead, but they will take care of business. Number 4, Tennessee at Arkansas. I'll take Tennessee to win. I think Arkansas can keep this game fun and interesting. Because I think their offense, much like with Tennessee went to Oklahoma, Oklahoma didn't have the offense of a quarterback to get it done. I believe they have a quarterback running back combination and Taylor Green and Quentin Jackson from Arkansas that I think they can make this interesting offensively. They can go blow for blow and run around and make that Tennessee defense finally sweat, because that defense really hasn't sweated yet. They will sweat this game on the road in Blue Pig. I just don't know if Arkansas's defense is going to be good enough to stop that Tennessee offense. So this is a game that could easily be 51-24 or something crazy like that, where they're fighting, but again, their offense is only so good to where you get to a scoring contest with Tennessee, and your defense can't do anything. You're not going to win that battle. Yeah, give me Tennessee to take care of business. Number 10, Michigan at Washington. I actually have Washington winning this game. I've stuck with Michigan for the most part, except for the Texas game, because I still think they have a chance to make the playoff. If they lose this game, which I have them losing, they're not done, because they can still go to the Big Ten Championship. We still have Oregon. We still have Indiana, who's ranked right now, and at this point, they can be undefeated once Michigan goes to Indiana. And then you got Ohio State. So they potentially have 3 games against potential ranked teams left. So, yeah, they can lose this game and still have a chance. So it's not over if they lose this game. I just think Washington has nothing to do with last year's championship. It's not even the same team. So I've been hearing people say that, but it's not comparable because it's not even the same teams in no shape, form, or fashion. So, but give me Washington. I think they're a little better. Michigan's offensive woes are going to come into play in this game on the road. Washington, one of the more beautiful places to play compared to Seattle. Give me Washington and Jim Fisher Company to get the job done. Who have his voice disciplined and ready to play and get a big win for that program. Number 11, USC at Minnesota. I have USC taking that victory. I think that game could be it could get ugly late, but USC's never been to a game like Minnesota in a tough Big Ten road game. This will be the second Big Ten road game they've had in about 3 weeks, so that can play a factor. I don't think I don't think Minnesota defensively is physical enough to push around USC on the offensive line side. So I'll take USC's offense to get going, rev it up. Minnesota's defense will hang in there for a while and keep it interesting, much like when they faced Iowa a couple weeks ago at home. The offense just becomes too much and they kind of get worn down. So I think that'll happen here. And give me USC and Lincoln Riley, Miller Mossy Company to get the job done on the road and take care of Minnesota, because, again, who does USC have next week on the road at Penn State, CBS primetime? Look ahead, maybe. We shall see. Baylor at number 16, Iowa State. Got Iowa State winning whiteout situation at Iowa State. I don't remember the last time they had a whiteout, if ever. Baylor's not really that good. I think they're on a downward trend. They could potentially be a 6-6 bowl team, if that. And for me, Iowa State is under the radar, and they're still under the radar, and I think that's just how they like it. So they'll stay under the radar for now, get a nice little home victory, because again, their schedule starts to heat up in a couple weeks. So focus on getting a win again in a game where you should win, and then you focus on what happens down the road. But Iowa State's going to take care of business here. Rocco Beck gets the job done for Iowa State. UCF and Florida, the battle for Florida yet again. I actually Florida win this game, and really if they do win this football game like I think, this turns around their entire season pretty much. As far as them making a bowl game and progressing the next year, save Billy Napier's job, possibly. Because there's a lot of people saying that no matter what, this will be it. I don't believe that. I think they win this game, they turn their season around. Just like they did on the road to Mississippi State. Italy got a good football team. They beat Samford, so you're coming in about 2-2. You win this game, you get yourself 3-2. You got winnable games on your schedule. You'll beat Florida State. Florida State's not good. So that's at least 4 wins right there. You can find 2 more wins on that schedule. You have an ability to find yourself in a bowl game, and like you said, just building progress to the next year. So give me Florida. UCF will be a little stunned after what happened to them last week, like how they got ran over by Colorado, and now you've got to play a physical Florida team. I don't think UCF will have enough to slow them down and the momentum they might have had after that Mississippi State win. So give me Florida to win in a pretty decent start for Florida on the season. Texas Tech and Arizona. I have Arizona. This is a shootout game. This is a late night game. This is one of those games where, like I've said before, when I have 2 teams that I think are even, I pretty much just go with the team that is at home because they're both even to me. If this game was in Lubbock, I'd pick Texas Tech. Arizona wins. People kind of forgot about them because they got ran over by Kansas State. But this is still a very good football team. Noah Wolfita and Edwards and Tenoroy McMillan. So, again, Arizona still creeping around, still lurking. They got some big matchups coming up, and then they got Oklahoma State coming up in a couple weeks. So this is nowhere near over for Arizona. And it might not be over for Texas Tech, but, again, Texas Tech is notoriously known for not having a defense. That will come into factor and come into play here. So with that, I will take Arizona at home with their weapons to clamp down and make big plays. And finally, number 15, Clemson at Florida State. Obviously, I have Clemson. Florida State is an abomination. DJU's out, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sits the rest of the season. Brock Glenn will get the start. We saw him play a little bit in that Georgia beatdown last year in the bowl game. We saw him play in the ACC championship game against that stout Louisville defense. So he's got experience as far as playing time goes. So he'll have his guys ready. But, man, it is a dumpster fire. They got destroyed against SMU. And I expect them to get destroyed here again. I think Clemson is going to just run over Florida State. I don't know what has happened. The renaissance that has occurred basically for Clemson since that Georgia game, but they're scoring points at an abundance. And most of the games have been at home, but Florida State's not a team to give them a challenge enough to be able to exploit if that offense is for real or not. So, I'll take Clemson to take care of business there. And there you have it, my 20 pick, short pick week. I'm pretty confident I should be somewhere around at 17-18 win record. I think this will be probably my best record of the season. Just because, like I said, when you have weeks like this, you get into situations where games, like you said, are kind of dull in the sense of it's mostly even, whether that be good or bad. So you kind of have a feeling as far as weeks like this, as far as how the weeks are coming up. So, those are my picks for this week. Like I said, NFL picks, we'll have them on Sunday. Also, before I go, want to get the Thursday night football game, Bucks and Falcons. My father has the Falcons going on the road beating the Falcons. I have the Falcons at home after sneaking out a win against us last week. I think they built some momentum because they really should have beat the Chiefs. I think they built momentum, and the Falcons, much like everybody thought at the beginning of the season, kind of takes the mantle of the NFC South, and they keep that momentum going. Give me Captain Kirk and the Falcons getting it done at home against the Bucks. And like I said, my father has the Bucks winning on the road. So those are our picks as far as college. And that Thursday night game, we'll be back at you Sunday with NFL picks and reactions. So thank you guys for tuning in, listening to the episode, and I'll talk to you later.